Sarah Hall had what looked like the perfect life, so why did she feel trapped?
I felt very small and unheard in my marriage.
Then one day, she discovered an escape route.
I saw everything I wanted to be.
Two Washington Post insiders have a headline.
The average television news piece is going to be very brief and very superficial.
Whom do they blame?
I think the American people are being badly underestimated by the people who run the news media right now.
Plus, what's so bad about Wareham?
To live in Wareham is to be looked down upon.
And the true adventures of an American in Africa. Provocative pages, next on Chronicle. Spring has arrived, and so have signs of life on the Charles River. Moving rhythmically, this sliver of a shell is 26 feet long, 10 inches wide, weighing just 30 pounds. It was a shell just like this one that caught Sarah's eye.
When I was 42 and lived about a half mile from Long Island Sound, that I discovered rowing one day when I saw a boat coming up the harbor. And something in me said, this is it. You were made for this.
From the outside looking in, Sarah Hall appeared to have it all. A big house in an affluent Long Island suburb, 3 great kids, and a prominent husband whose business success allowed her the financial freedom to buy what she wanted and remain a stay-at-home mom. But a look beyond the facade of Hall's perfect life would reveal a grim reality.
I felt very small and unheard in my marriage. It wasn't my motherhood, it was my marriage, it was my relationship with my husband, where I felt isolated and sad.
Then one day in 1995, amidst the mundane rituals of grocery shopping and carpooling, Sarah noticed a lone sculler on Long Island Sound. At that moment, Sarah says she discovered a way to conquer the pain and psychological abuse she said she endured in her marriage.
I started rowing early in the morning, very early in the morning. And I practiced and practiced and practiced by myself. By the end of that summer, I thought I was pretty good. I had rowed almost 500 miles.
Now it was time for Sarah to put herself to the test.
That first race, I came in so dead last that the chase boats, whose job it is sort of to mop up the last dregs of the race, they were so exasperated by a competitor with my breathtaking lack of speed that they passed me, and in passing me, nearly capsized me with their wakes. But just crossing the line, just finishing that race was, I think of it as the greatest triumph of my life, because it meant to me that I had what it takes, what it took to go the distance.
2 years later, Sarah Hall would be the one leaving the competition in her wake, winning the World Masters title in the single shell. But even with this accomplishment, Hall was still faced with a sense of isolation and sadness in her marriage, a marriage that was slowly deteriorating. Sarah recounts her experience in an emotional memoir, Drawn to the Rhythm, a passionate life reclaimed.
Certainly I was very fortunate to have financial security, but I was unfortunate in that I was in a situation where I felt diminished. I felt that I was being sort of systematically taken apart, and that was confusing and painful.
The solace Sarah found in a single shell was her salvation.
With each stroke, the sculler's body swung with a rhythm of chant and breath. It was all here before me, in the quiet thrust of the boat, the sweet swing of the sculler. I saw everything I wanted to be, everything I always had been, beneath the sensible dresses and the sorrow. Found in that moment the mission of these hands, this body, this heart.
Sarah and her family eventually relocated to Boston, home to one of the most prestigious regattas in the world. Soon she began competing in Masters double and quad shells, medaling in all races. She finally found the Sarah that was lost so many years ago, and says she found the courage to tell her husband she was leaving.
When I made the decision to leave my husband, the overwhelming feeling was profound relief. I gave it my best shot, and I just am so glad I had the courage to make the right decision.
Drawn to the rhythm, Sara hopes the strength it took to reclaim her life will help other women do the same.
You know, it doesn't mean abandoning husbands and children and suburbia. It doesn't mean that. What it means is finding the strength and the voice to stand up for who you are and to feel a passion in your life and have all the richness of having children and having home and having a real life as a person.
So, has Sara Hall's former husband commented on the book, Peter?
Yes, he has, Mary. He told the Boston Globe that the book is a, quote, scathingly subjective and one-sided view of a marriage, adding, I don't see how I could ever contemplate some of the things she's accused me of. So, who knows? They're still fighting it out. As for Sara, she continues to race, continues to win, has now racked up, we're told, some 30 medals in the Masters class, which is really an incredible feat.